Welcome back. You're watching SA Today with me, Unati Bagyasha. Let's continue here now. Zulu King, Zulu King, has denied reports that he was unwell and hospitalized in Eswatini. The King's head of communications and stakeholder relations, Prince Africa Zulu, said in a statement released in Durban on Sunday that the King had undergone a medical checkup on a visit to his uncle, King Mswati III, in the neighboring country, and that he was in good health. Now, the King's statement was in response to an earlier statement released by Prime Minister to the Zulu King and nation, Prince Mphumeleli, that he was informed by a member of the royal family that the King was unwell and hospitalized. Now, Mphumeleli also claimed that the King's hospitalization followed the recent death of the King's Induna, Douglas Xaba, who was suspected of having been poisoned. Prince Africa further says the King expressed condolences to the family of Mr. Xaba on his passing without mentioning the cause of his death. The King also says there appeared to be an agenda to communicate defamatory and baseless claims of his ill health, and that this was done to create the public perception that he was unwell and unfit. Prince Mphumeleli's office couldn't be reached for further comment. All right, let's discuss this. We're now joined via Zoom by a history lecturer at the University of KZN, Dr. Mphumeleli Ngidi. Dr. Ngidi, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. So, conflicting statements there about the King's health. What should we as the public be reading into this?
Good afternoon to you in the studio and the listeners and the viewers at home. Thank you very much for welcoming me. The diverging views and the statement that we've just received, they are contradicting each other, and also they have a potential of causing disputes within the Zulu society, as there's another camp pulling on the other side and the other camp is pulling on the other side. So there's a need for the verification of the news. When the King is ill, there's verification need to be clearly communicated to the spokesperson of the King and also Undunankulu Wesizwe, so that there will be one message being conveyed to the Zulu community, of which the King is serving. So the diverting statement should be avoided, so that the communities will know what is exactly happening. Than hearing fallacies, the society will end up not knowing what is the truth and what is not true.
I mean, just talking about, just some of those conflicting reports. If you look at the first statement, that came out from Prince Mphumeleli, stating, in fact, something that was not, relayed in the second statement, and that, of course, from the spokesperson of the King. I mean, in the first statement, Mphumeleli claiming that the King's hospitalization followed the recent death of the King Induna, Douglas Xaba, who was suspected of having been poisoned. And, of course, again, just basically citing those fears again of what is currently happening in terms of the status of the King. Is he safe? What are the facts around this? He further says that the King, that the King also is taken ill due to this. We had an earlier interview with the spokesperson himself, with one of our reporters in Durban, stating, that the King was devastated, of course, that his confidant, Mr. Xaba, had just passed, which is why he took ill. So these conflicting reports, outside of showing the divisions within, the royal household, also is of concern from a health perspective, a safety perspective to the general public, because of what we've seen in the recent past.
Yes, they are likely to spark the confusion in the community. As I've been saying, the communication should be clear. board, the spokesperson, and Undunankulu. That is why I'm saying that their communication should be at its best. If the communication is not at its best, stories like this, and also spark disturbances within the communities, because there have been stories of a king being suspected of poisoning in the past, and also within the history of the Zulu nation, there are also the stories of poisoning and sort of. So they are likely to spark debates around the community, and also the chair, the throne, is contested. The contestation is not over. It is there. It's existing, and we are likely to hear diverting views which aim to make the king unfit for the position. That comes with the nature of the throne. Such news and fallacies will emanate from as the king continues to rule from the date he ascends to the throne up until whenever he leaves the throne. So such news are not new, and they point to the fact that the division within the Zulu family is still there. Akuphelile ukuhixizisana okukhona esizweni sakwaZulu kubangwa isihlalo, ngoba lokhu kwe-poisoning okushiwoyo akuqali kade kwakuba khona, futhi njengoba sekukhona kuloku kubika kanje, sekuzoba khona ukwesaba emphakathini kokuthi ngempela kuyikona. Ingakho ngithi uspokesperson bese kuba uNdunankulu, nayo yonke i-cabinet of the king, which includes abantwana, they have to be in the best of relations, so that they can convey a clearer message to the Zulu nation. Ngoba inkosi ngabantu, esikubuzwa kwi-media, people will believe, and then there are those who won't believe it. So now it's like creating two camps within the Zulu society.
And like you say, of course, this will cause some form of concern. And thank you for just, unpacking that. But, how much of this division, of course, divisions we've seen before, this is nothing new, as you've also rightfully said, but how much of this has to do with, the recent public spat that broke out between King Misuzulu Zwelithini and, his Prime Minister, Inkosi Mangosuthu Buthelezi, over control of the Ingonyama Trust?
I assume it's still continuing, because we've not heard that they've sat down. They've sat down and resolved the matter or buried the hatchets. We've not heard those news. Apologies if there've been sittings concerning that issue. It may also happen that the Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi, as he's serving as Undunankulu, they have to be with the king. Whenever the king is making a public presence, Undunankulu is the one who has to introduce the king. He's also the one who serves so many a myriad of responsibilities. So they have to be in the best of relations. So the recent public spats over Ingonyama Trust, with the king denying it, and the Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi calling amakhosi over the issue, and also he then called Prince Mangosuthu. He then called abantwana basendlunkulu nazo zonke izindlu zasendlunkulu. Okusho ukuthi this issue still needs to be solved.
All right.
Because now it's playing on the public domain. Yes. And remember, we have social media, we have the media, it's all over the place. So like the issue.
All right, Dr. Ngidi, we seem to have lost you there. We apologize for that. Of course, that was Dr. Mphumeleli Ngidi, history lecturer at the University of KwaZulu-Natal.